Director, I want to ask you about a specific interview that was carried. The chairman mentioned it in the El Paso Times that ran on August 27th. You revealed a great deal of information that had previously been considered classified. I remember the discussion and the number being given to committee members, and the, I don't know whether the word warning, but it was certainly reinforced that this was a highly classified number. So, for example, you discussed the mechanics of the FISA applications and court review, including the recent changes in FISA case law that necessitated warrants for wire communications traversing our country. You also confirmed that private sector companies assisted in conducting the president's warrantless surveillance program. Now, my question on this is, did you discuss with the White House your intent to declassify these facts in advance of the interview?
No, I did not.
And since you did not, why not? How is this?
Control of classified information is subject to presidential authority, and the president delegates that authority to me, and it becomes a judgment call.
So simply by stating in that interview with the El Paso Times that the information just automatically became declassified because you stated it publicly?
It becomes a judgment call, and what I'll repeat some of the remarks I made earlier with regard to why I chose to do that. There were many claims and counterclaims. You opened your comments saying Americans are worried. Some were asserting in those same editorials that my community was conducting a drift net of surveillance.
Well, I don't want to go back to what you've said before, and I appreciate your wanting to say more that was stated earlier today, but I only have a limited amount of time. I was really stunned when I read that, I have to tell you, and I think others were as well.
Ma'am, what I was
I don't know,
attempting to
does the same thing occur if we as members of the committee state a classified number and we decide that it should just be declassified, or does that just come from DNI?
You would have to request authority to do that.
Yeah, well,
and I have that authority, and I made a judgment. It was my judgment call.
Now, were you aware that by revealing the involvement of the private sector companies that it undermined the Justice Department's case, their defense against the lawsuit about the president's program?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Well, when you confirmed that, I mean, there was a lot of speculation, but you confirmed that private sector telecommunications companies were assisting in the president's program. And I'm just asking you if you were aware if that undermined the Justice Department's defense against the lawsuit.
The words I chose was private sector, and if you go back and closely examine all the articles that covered my interview, would quote me up to a point, and then it would stop the quotes and go on to name specific companies or telecommunications or whatever.
I think we may view it differently, which is legitimate, but I think it did some damage.
I just refer you back to the article, which was printed verbatim.
Yeah. After the act passed, you claimed that because of the congressional and public debate over changes to FISA, quote, some Americans are going to die.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really believe that because we have a public debate in the Congress of the United States about surveillance, about the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that Americans are going to die?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And did Americans die because of our debate?
They will, and the reason is...
I think you need to explain that, not just to us, obviously, the cameras are on.
Intelligence business
That's a heavy statement.
Intelligence business is conducted in secret. It's conducted in secret for a reason.
Did you ever advise the Congress not to debate this in public?
Yes,
because
I did.
You believe Americans were going to die?
I've been very clear about this all along. This is very important for us to get this right so we can do our mission to prevent Americans from dying, but...
That's not what you said.
Well, if you'd allow me to finish, I'll tell you what I intended to say and what I did say. If you compromise sources and methods, and what this dialogue and debate has allowed those who wish us harm to do, is to understand significantly more about how we were targeting their communications.
Well, Mr. Director, with all due respect, I think that you put out classified information, and simply by stating so, because you're director and you say that you have the ability to do that, that it just became declassified. I think that that was very important information that shouldn't have gone out, but that's only my judgment. Now you're saying, and standing by, that your previous statement, that when we debate these issues in the Congress of the United States, which is our system, that some Americans are going to die. And I really think that's a stretch. And I think because of some of these things, it has done damage to what you bring forward. It puts a dent in the credibility, and I think that there are some members of Congress that are really affected by this. That's why I raise it. And
Thank you, Ms. Eshoo.